Anthony was moved in and lived in that house for approximately at the end of 11th grade when he was 17 years old. And there the pastor started to do what adult pedophiles do with younger people.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. So glad that you are here with us. These are the documents that I'm going to be taking you through here in 1 minute. Pardon me for the shadows. Eddie Lavandera is going to be joining me in just a little bit. He's standing by over here as well. So let's get to it. The story that I'm about to tell you about is shocking many Americans tonight, many church-going Americans. This is a story about a preacher with a following of 25,000 people. He drives a Bentley. He flies around, travels all over the world in private planes. He's appeared on this network and others, speaking out against homosexuality. Guess what? Tonight, this so-called man of God is being sued by two young men. They say that he coerced them into sexual relationships. He allegedly bought them gifts, cars, he housed them, jewelry, flew them around the world. All of that and more in exchange for sex. We're talking about Bishop Eddie Long, one of America's most popular Christian preachers. He's got his own television show. He's a best-selling author. His church is based right here in Georgia, from where we're broadcasting. The family of Martin Luther King Jr. chose him to officiate the funeral for Coretta Scott King, where he spoke before a crowd of the nation's VIPs, including 4 U.S. presidents.
There have been allegations and attacks made on me. I have never in my life portrayed myself as a perfect man. But I am not the man that's being portrayed on the television. That's not me. That is not me. I said earlier, I am not a perfect man. But this thing, I'm gonna fight. And I want you to know one other thing. I feel like David against Goliath. But I got 5 rocks, and I haven't thrown one yet. Good morning, and I just want to take this moment and to address you again as advice of counsel. I am not going to address the allegations and the attack that's been levied upon me at this moment because, again, as I stated earlier in the service, you know, I would want this to be dealt in the court of justice and not by public opinion. I will say that I am going to fight very vigorously against these charges.
I have to ask you this, Bishop, but I have to ask you about Bishop Eddie Long. You know him. I think you're friends with him, a fellow pastor. He leads a megachurch here in Atlanta. He settles several abuse cases that were filed against him, misconduct cases is a better way of saying it. His wife just filed for divorce. Your thoughts on that? First, the misconduct allegations.
Well, I think if there was actually misconduct, we have to, the young men involved, and they are older men, and I think it's a little different from a 10-year-old who can't speak for himself. When you get these older boys who can make decisions, old enough to drive a car, old enough to go to war, if there is a deliberate action done here, we can't take a cash settlement when we really want justice done because it leaves the public wondering what really happened.
He vowed to fight the charges and win. Instead, he settled out of court with his accusers.
And I want you to know one other thing. I feel like David against Goliath. But I got 5 rocks, and I haven't thrown one yet.
But it doesn't appear he threw his 5 rocks. Instead, Long, who allegedly sent these photos to one of the plaintiffs, agreed to a secret legal financial settlement with 4 men.
If there is a deliberate action done here, we can't take a cash settlement when we really want justice done, because it leaves the public wondering what really happened.
I mean, you are a fighter in all senses.
I stand up for what I believe in.
And you're not afraid to defend yourself, if need be.
I get a little nervous and get a little scared like everybody, but when push comes to shove, no, sometimes I've gotten into trouble for defending friends over dumb things or defending a woman's honor, this, that, and the other. Things I do believe in, I think are right, but at the time, now when I look back at them, I know they could have been handled a different way.
But you don't regret smacking Tommy Lee, do you?
No.
He deserved it?
Yes.
Waffle House guy, did he deserve what came his way?
Absolutely.
So you don't actually regret those things, even though you've got angry and got violent. You think it's justified.
Could we rewind the tape to no regrets? No, I felt they were justified. Yeah, I mean, I went to court for several of those things and sat, and, I could have, paid somebody off 20, 50 grand, whatever it is, and I sat in court and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just to defend, again, what I think is right, to go after these scum-sucking attorneys, these ambulance chasers who are out there, that see me as a payday. And I'd rather just spend the money and stand up for what I believe in. Yeah, I mean, I went to court for several of those things and sat, and, I could have, paid somebody off 20, 50 grand, whatever it is, and I sat in court and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just to defend, again, what I think is right.
Up close tonight, a powerful preacher's fall from grace. Just a year ago, Bishop Eddie Long's wife and congregation rallied to his side when he was accused of sexual misconduct. He vowed to fight the charges and win. Instead, he settled out of court with his accusers, and now his wife has filed for divorce after 21 years of marriage. Here's Gary Tuckman.
Megachurch Bishop Eddie Long was one of America's most influential, wealthy, and powerful preachers.
All the things that God has spoke to you, all of it, you got to declare it. I'm making a sealed official announcement. God has not changed his mind about me. He has not changed his mind about you. Declare it, affirm it, walk in it.
A boisterous, confident sermon, even though it came just a few months after he had been accused by several young men of coercing them into having homosexual sex. They said they had viewed Long as a father figure and alleged he lavished them with gifts and trips before eventually pressuring them into sex. Strong allegations, especially considering Eddie Long was such a strong critic of homosexuality.
You cannot say, I was born this way. I don't care what scientists say. If you say you were born this way, then you're saying, God, you're a liar. You can be converted. You were not born that way.
The bombast of Bishop Eddie Long, who had packed tens of thousands of people in a suburban Atlanta church, has come to an end, at least for the time being. This is what he had to say this past Sunday.
I'm going to take a little time off to work with my family. All right.
Eddie Long says he's stepping away from the pulpit for now, after his wife filed for divorce last week, stating she was doing it after a great deal of deliberation and prayer. Before Vanessa Long's decision, there had been plenty of drama that played out in the public eye, including this interview done by Atlanta TV station WAGA with one of her husband's accusers.
I cannot get the sound of his voice out of my head, and I cannot forget the smell of his cologne. And And I cannot forget the way that he made me cry many nights when I drove in his cars on the way home, not able to take enough showers to wipe the smell of him off of my body.
At first, Long aggressively fought the allegations, using his pulpit and biblical references to cast doubt on his accusers.
And I want you to know one other thing. I feel like David against Goliath. But I got 5 rocks, and I haven't thrown one yet.
But it doesn't appear he threw his 5 rocks. Instead, Long, who allegedly sent these photos to one of the plaintiffs, agreed to a secret legal financial settlement with 4 men. And while some congregants still support him,
I just want him to know that we are behind him.
many others have left his church empire.
He needs to repent and to change his wicked ways and to make amends to those young men.
Attendance is way down at his New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. And now, with Long's announcement, it doesn't bode well for his megachurch or his marriage. But he told his congregants,
we're going to work it out.
But for many, his word isn't quite as good as it used to be.
I'm going to take a little time off to work with my family. We're going to work it out.